And the old consciousness is dying. More specifically, it is dead. The pursuit of external power, the ability to manipulate and control, now produces only violence and destruction. It's more than obsolete. It's more than preventing our evolution. It threatens our survival. But now we're at a new step, a new phase, a new opening. Every moment is a new step, a new phase, a new opening in your life. We are transforming from a 5-sensory species that evolves by surviving and survives by pursuing external power into a multi-sensory species that evolves by growing spiritually and grows spiritually by creating authentic power. And we're in the midst of that transformation. It's happening now. To really see what's changing, what's transforming, and what needs to be transformed, look inside. That's the only place you'll see these things. And that's the only place that you can change these things. Welcome back. In the last podcast, we talked about the difference between the old consciousness and a brand new consciousness. And by old, I mean old. Old as we understand time. Human consciousness that had its origins at least 300,000 years ago. And by new, as in new consciousness, I mean brand new. Never happened before and happening very fast. You might say they're just now stocking the shelves in the stores and people are buying it and taking it home. As fast as they can stock the shelves, people are buying it and taking it home. And what do I mean by that? People are beginning to realize that they are more than they thought they were. Or that the thought that they are less than they could be, or less than they thought they were, is only a thought. A thought. And a particular kind of thought. We're going to go into that in detail. And the big news that I had before was that the big difference that you can see between the old understanding of power, which is manipulation and control, and the new understanding of power is this. The old understanding of power now produces only violence and destruction. It's more than obsolete. It's more than preventing our evolution. It threatens our survival. The pursuit of external power, the ability to manipulate and control, now produces only violence and destruction. Between individuals, it produces emotional violence and destruction. Between nations, it produces physical violence and destruction. And that violence can be unlimited, both between individuals and between nations. It's painful and it's terrifying. When it's between nations, those of us who've read history know how terrifying it can be. The last major war, not the wars that the United States has produced, Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, not those wars. Those are not major wars. Those are savage and brutal distractions. The last major war was World War II. The Second World War. That means the entire world was engulfed. Every nation, except a few, were at war. And the cost was beyond imagination. The destruction of Europe. The incineration of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. 80 million people died in World War II. 80 million. 20 of them in Russia alone. It touched everyone. Did we learn from it? From our perspective now, we can say with clarity, no. The United Nations was established, but established on the understanding of power as external. It was designed to prevent this kind of war. It cannot. Nothing can, because the United Nations is not the cause of this kind of war or any kind of war. We are. The United Nations has what is called a Security Council. There is no security in this council. There is continual conflict. There is continual pursuit of external power. There is continual bodybuilding and muscle flexing. And when that doesn't work, use of lethal weapons. All of this around the table called a Security Council table. It's a terrifying expression of the pursuit of external power by using external power. How could that happen? How could that ever happen? Albert Einstein, whom we humans generally consider to be one of almost saintly elevation in his contributions to humankind, said you cannot solve a problem with the same things that created the problem. How simple is that? Did we apply it? No. But now we're at a new step, a new phase, a new opening. Every moment is a new step, a new phase, a new opening in your life. But this new step, phase, and opening is apparent to billions of people around the world. In the United States, stock market values have plummeted. This is temporary. All of the things that I can say about what is happening will not change is that the pursuit of external power produces only violence and destruction. It is a concept that had meaning only in the old consciousness and still does only in the old consciousness. And the old consciousness is dying. More specifically, it is dead. It is moving us forward by inertia. You can imagine the old steam locomotives, beautiful in their day, powerful, brutish, unstoppable, going down a track, faster than a horse can run. And the people inside are cushioned in comfort, and they look outside the window and they see the land flying by. They don't think about what's making the train move. They take it for granted. But eventually, the coal, that engine, that steam engine, is fueled with a specific fuel, coal. And that coal is carried in a big car right behind the engine, called the coal car. And the engineers in the engine, with shovels, which are manual completely, shovel the coal from the coal car and into the boiler, where the steam, where the water is evaporated into steam, and that steam is used to move the pistons that move the train, that move the passengers straight on track. That's where the words on track came from. The railroad, which was a revolution in its day, a great leap forward. But what happens when there's no more coal? There's no more steam in the engine, and it begins to decelerate. And eventually, its boiler cools. There's no steam. There's no smoke in its stack. And the engine slows, and the train behind it slows and slows and slows. And at last, this deceleration comes to an end. The train stops. And people ask, what is this? What's causing this? So they get out of the train and they look around. They say, how are we going to continue our journey? They say the train's out of fuel, but they don't know that there's no more fuel and there won't be any more fuel. The world that the five senses built, the world that the old consciousness built, The world that is limited to the five senses that the old consciousness built has run out of fuel, and there won't be any more. That fuel is external power. It underlies all of our social structures. It underlies our entire societies. And there's not going to be any more, because the pursuit of external power is now destructive. It used to be our good medicine. We needed it to survive. We are transforming from a five-sensory species that evolves by surviving and survives by pursuing external power into a multisensory species that evolves by growing spiritually and grows spiritually by creating authentic power. And we're in the midst of that transformation. It's happening now. It's happening in the world around us. We can see it everywhere. That's what I was talking about. You can see it in Venezuela. You can see it in Brazil. You can see it in Japan. You can see it in Thailand. You can see it in Europe. You can see it in Kansas, where I come from. There's no place you can't not see it. But when you're looking outward, you'll never find it really. To really see what's changing, what's transforming, and what needs to be transformed, look inside. That's the only place you'll see these things. And that's the only place that you can change these things. Now, let's look at the difference between authentic power, the new understanding of power, and external power, the understanding and experience of power from within the limitations of the five senses. The new understanding of power is alignment of the personality with the soul. The soul intends harmony, cooperation, sharing, and reverence for life. The new understanding of power is the understanding of power that allows the energy of your soul to flow through you effortlessly into the earth school, like the breath of a musician through a flute. Except that when you first start as a student in the earth school, that flow is not effortless. In fact, it barely exists except as an impulse, a desire to give what you can to this part of you that is immortal, to this part of you that knows more than you, to this part of you that is older than you, to this part of you that is older than time. The person that's been elected in the United States has drawn to him individuals of like energy. This is the law of attraction. The law of attraction is this: like energy attracts like energy. If you are loving, you are in a loving world. You draw to you loving individuals. If you are frightened, you draw to you frightened people. If you feel that this is a dog-eat-dog world, you live in a dog-eat-dog world. In other words, the old consciousness says, no, I'll believe it when I see it. I see that this world is tough, and I'm going to be tougher. I see that this world is a threat. Well, I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to be more of a threat to it. I see this world is trying to take advantage of me. Well, look out, because I'm going to take advantage of it. That's the old consciousness. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, except take one of my teeth and I'll take 6 of yours. Take one of my eyes, I'll take both of yours. It's that brutal. It's that savage. It's that limited in its perspective of what it means to be a human. And yet, within that perspective, we have evolved. There are many kind humans who are five-sensory. There are many five-sensory humans who mean well. There are even many five-sensory humans who would not harm life, and that is not because they are authentically powerful. It is because they have been hurt so much, they have suffered so much, they will not harm life. But they are not authentically powerful. An authentically powerful person is one that intends as its soul harmony and cooperation and sharing and reverence for life. The individual who has been elected to president and has drawn to him others because of the law of attraction now exemplifies the old understanding of power and how radically different it is from the new understanding of power. The new understanding of power requires the creation of harmony and cooperation and sharing and reverence for life. And this individual and those with him promote discord, competition, hoarding, and exploitation. How different could it be? It can't be any more different, because what is exemplifying is the difference between the basic duality in the Earth School. The difference between love, which is the thirst, the hunger, the intention of harmony, cooperation, and sharing and reverence for life. That is love. That is an experience, experiences of love. And the other, discord, competition, hoarding, exploitation. These are the behaviors of fear. They are the intentions of fear. These are the intentions of a consciousness that is dead. It has no future. For those who have this older consciousness, the old consciousness, to them the future seems clear. We must be the dominator, not the dominated. We must be the controller, not the controlled. We must be the winner, not the loser. And the person who feels this most strongly feels that about the world, himself or herself. That's fear. We'll talk about fear, what it is, and how to experience it consciously. But the shorthand is this: it hurts, it's painful, and it creates destructive consequences when you act on it. The characteristics of an authentically powerful personality are humbleness, clarity, forgiveness, and love. We'll talk about each of these in future podcasts. But what is in contrast to humbleness, clarity, forgiveness, and love? It is the same individuals, the same consciousness that is vain, confused about what serves and benefits life, that is unforgiving and is vengeful. This is what we now see. And it's not limited to Washington, D.C. It's not limited to Berlin. It's not limited to Tokyo. It's not limited to the rice fields anywhere. It's not limited at all, because this is the distinction that is emerging writ wide for us to read, shown on the enormous screen of our perceptions. And now, because of that, made available, made susceptible to our choice. How do we do that? According to the old consciousness, it is the world that determines it. The world determines our consciousness. And so we do our best to change the world, to change our consciousness. If we hurt, we try to change the world. If we feel inadequate, we try to control the world. The new consciousness is different in every way. It is rewarding. It is life-giving where the old consciousness is life-taking. It is nourishing where the old consciousness is extracting. It is all the things that are necessary for our survival humbleness, clarity, forgiveness, love, harmony, cooperation, sharing, and reverence for life. All of that is on one side of the picture, you might say. And on the other side are the opposites. Discord, competition, hoarding, exploitation, vanity, confusion, lack of forgiveness, and vengefulness. Except it's not a this side and a that side with a line drawn between the two. So they can say, well, here's on this side, and that's on that side. It has no line between them. The line is blurred. They run one into the other in our awareness. And it's in our awareness that we need to separate them if we're going to change them and support one and challenge the other. But how is that going to change the world if we change ourselves? That's going to be the topic of the next podcast. If you're enjoying anything you're hearing on this podcast, subscribe to it. Now, what do I mean by enjoy? Do I mean, is it entertaining for you? Does it make you laugh? Does it make you forget your worries? That's not what I mean. I mean, do you resonate with anything that I say as relevant, profound, and pertinent for you, not for the world, for you? Something that you can use, something that you can experiment with in your life. If you do, if you resonate, then subscribe, because there's more where this comes from. It comes from the universe, as do you. Here's a soul step. Take out your notebook and your pen and write in it between now and the next podcast the differences you can see between the changes in the world that are emanating like an earthquake from an epicenter from Washington, D.C. But the earthquake is much larger than that, and it's got more epicenters than one. But write down what you can see in the world that convinces you that the world is a world of discord and competition and hoarding and exploitation. And what that example was. And then look around you and see what parts of the world, which means your experience, you can see that value harmony and cooperation and sharing and reverence for life. And write them down. There may be more experiences of the old power from the old consciousness than the new power, authentic power from the new consciousness, but write them. Write them. It's the beginning of a step. You are a process. You are always at the beginning of a process. Let your awareness register that now. I'm looking forward to speaking with you about these things again soon. I'm Gary Zukav.